Hello, everyone. I'm 18 Storm Track meteorologist Austin Haskins. It was a hot and very humid day across western Wisconsin on our Sunday. Saturday, temperatures overall were in the mid to upper 80s. Yesterday, we had upper 80s and even some low 90s, even mid 90s in Red Wing, Minneapolis, and in La Crosse, all getting to 93 degrees there. Our peak heat index in Eau Claire yesterday was at 4 o'clock when it hit 98 degrees. Otherwise, it stayed in the 90s for a good chunk of the day until about that 9 o'clock hour when it finally fell below 90. But we also saw those dew points take a significant drop once we had the rain move in just before midnight. You can see it went from about 73 down to 60, and then since then it's been hovering in the upper 50s to near 60 most of the overnight into early Monday morning. Check this out up in Hayward, though. They actually saw a dew point drop of almost 25 degrees in the span of less than 2 hours. They went from the 70s down to near 50, and they actually saw the temperature go up from 82 to 91 just before 10 o'clock last night, and they also had a wind gust of 51 miles per hour. They had what's known as a heat burst, and I've attached a description of that in my web discussion here, so you can scroll down there and check that out from NOAA, talking about what exactly that is and how it causes it. But that is certainly what we had last night, as we had some of those showers and a few storms move through, and you get some of that warm air to kind of rush down as those thunderstorms weaken. So you can read that in the description below. But we're tracking toasty and very humid conditions again today, followed by a chance for storms tonight. And then starting on Wednesday, we get some relief from the heat and the humid weather. So there's the cold front that brought those drops in dew points overnight, but it will actually be lifting back north as a warm front today. You see the stationary boundary that goes through Sioux Falls this morning. That will be moving back to the north as a warm front, as I mentioned, and that's going to be the focal point for our shower and storm chances for tonight. Heat index values today could peak as high as about 95 to 100 degrees, and then dropping back down towards about 70 tonight. So it is still going to be a very humid and very warm day, so please use precautions if you are going to be outdoors for any length of time. But we're going to zoom the view out here and talk about future track, because we're going to be looking at storm development out in the Dakotas this afternoon and evening, and this is what is going to be the focal point for our storm chances later on tonight. So you can see the storms getting going at about 4:30 this afternoon. And this is what we got to watch. You notice this line of storms in this little bit of a C shape here. That's an indication that we could see these storms produce strong, damaging wind gusts as it moves through, and then it'll weaken as it gets into areas just outside our viewing area overnight into early tomorrow morning. Here's the graph model. It will show a similar picture, but several hours later. So 7:30, they had the storms out by Bismarck at that point. Then eventually, you can see just potentially a nasty line of storms coming through towards the Twin Cities. And this is at 2 o'clock in the morning, too, mind you. But watch what happens here. You see how it goes east, and all of a sudden it goes whoop down to the southeast and weakens. What we got to watch is the position of this warm front, and we also have to watch, where the better ingredients will be, the higher energy levels, the wind shear, and things like that. And also with any storms that developed overnight and also Sunday night in parts of eastern South Dakota and southern and central Minnesota, some of these areas did get hit pretty hard with some storms, including a few tornadoes near Watertown, South Dakota. But how the atmosphere will recover after that, if there are any boundaries that have been laid out from that as a result. But right now, the Storm Prediction Center has a level 2 and a level 1 risk in place for our area, but a much higher risk out to the west. There's a level 3 and even a level 4 risk for places like Aberdeen, South Dakota, down to near Brookings, South Dakota, into far western Minnesota, where they have a 45% chance of significant damaging wind gusts in that area. Now, for us, it's just, again, a level 1 and a level 2 risk, but the Storm Prediction Center did say in their outlooks that get released later today. So that would be at about 8 a.m., 7:30, 8 a.m., towards lunchtime and early afternoon. They may make changes to these outlooks. So there's a possibility we could see our risk decrease, or we could see it increase, or it may stay the same. So something that we'll be monitoring very closely throughout the day. There's not really much of a tornado threat as of right now, though I can't totally rule it out, especially if you get any lines of storms. You get those little areas of rotation that just kind of tighten up very briefly. It could drop a brief spin-up tornado. So can't rule that out. Hail is certainly possible, but it's on the low end of the scale. Damaging wind does look to be the primary threat with any storms that come through. So again, The latest details, warm and very humid today, heat index up to 100. Chance of storms tonight, severe storms are possible. Many questions remain, and we'll be the first to tell you this, and a lot of meteorologists would say this too, that the models have not done a very good job as of late kind of pinpointing, these storms. And, it makes the forecasting part of it a little bit more difficult. But regardless of that, all of that aside, it's still important to just remain weather aware tonight and have ways to get alerts should watches and warnings be issued. You can stay with us for updates on air, online, social media pages, and by downloading the free 18 Storm Track weather app. And keep in mind, too, you have those wireless emergency alerts on your phone. Those will go off in the event of a tornado warning, a flash flood warning, or if there is a destructive severe thunderstorm warning, which would mean winds of 80+ miles per hour. So be sure to have ways to get those weather alerts for tonight should we need them. Also, and a lot of people are going to be happy about this, muggy meter dew points are going to be finally coming back down into the pleasant to not bad category starting on Wednesday, lasting through the week into the weekend. So finally some relief from this hot and humid weather that we've had as of late. You can see there lots of sunshine and some drier days as well. Highs upper 70s to near 80, lows in the 50s.